Welcome to Woo Nation Uncensored. I'm Mark Madden, ex-WCW. Joining me as always, he is the 16-time World Heavyweight Champion. He is the greatest athlete ever to walk the face of God's green earth. Let's bring on the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Nate, tell him what it is.
How are you guys?
Doing good, doing good. And we got a surprise for you right off the bat. Matt Cardona, the artist formerly known as Zack Ryder, he's the defending NWA World Champion. He retained his title in a match that finished via DQ against Nick Aldis last night at the Crockett Cup event. And here's what he wore. Let's check out his robe.
Wow, nice.
That looks familiar, doesn't it?
It does.
What do you trace that robe for you to an event, or is that just kind of a combination
Let me see it again. No, it's nice though. It's very well done.
Remember the Crockett Cup, the original one in the NWA? That was a big event, wasn't it?
Yeah, huge in Baltimore.
And that managed to make tag teams, didn't it? Like you'd bring in different tag teams or unite tag teams, and they kind of took off.
Yep, exactly. He brought it all over the country.
And you were obviously in the main event of if I'm not mistaken, all of those as world champion. But but the emphasis was on the tag teams for one night.
Yes. First night total.
Yeah, it was a tournament. Then at the last night you defended the title.
Yep.
And that drew a crowd, didn't it? That was a big house.
Sold out both nights. 14,000 people in Baltimore.
With all the tickets sold to all the events today, to think that an event back then could sell out back-to-back nights, I mean, it's not WrestleMania, but it's pretty impressive.
Very impressive. Yep, we did every year.
Now, Rick, the new series drops this week. It's called WWE Evil.
Evil.
And it profiles some of the great heels in the wrestling business. Let's assume you're the best heel ever, which I think is true. Who's right there with you? Who are 1, 2, 3 names that you think stand alongside you as the best heels ever?
Well, I've got to start with Roddy Piper. There was a period of time where Roddy was hot as anybody in the business. And he was entertaining, but he wasn't afraid of heat. He got it. You know what I mean? It's hard to say. I mean, it's being a heel now, and it's a whole different time because it's just, I don't think the guys have the freedom to be a heel. Does that make sense? That we used to have, I think just conduct wise, and I guess if I was considered great, what made me great was the fact that everything I said I did. But I mean, of that group of people right there, I mean, Randy's a hell of a heel. Roman's a hell of a heel right now. I mean, they're all very good. You know what? I think they're going to be amazed whether I think they're going to really have a great. I'm dying to see it because I'm a big fan of Stephanie McMahon.
The episode on Stephanie, right?
Yeah, she is a badass, man. I mean, I love her in that character. I loved her with the Authority, but anytime you go back to the feuds with her, like Vicky Guerrero or just different people over the years, she could be badass. She's her dad. Her dad is a hell of a heel. Good Lord.
Who's the better heel, Vince or Stephanie?
Oh, just because he's meaner, you got to go with Vince. But
it's close.
Yeah, but Stephanie could, man, she could turn it on. I mean, I used to text her all the time. I hear your shit's too good. Yeah.
Well, Nate, you brought up a good point a moment ago where you said that it's a different environment to be a heel today than it was in your era. Back in your era, a heel could go over the top. He could occasionally go what would now be considered too far. Whereas today, the heels try to sell merchandise. And boy, that's a big difference.
It's not only sell merchandise, but they're forced to get along with the public. They're forced because of social media to be nice. That was not the case in my day.
No, I was witness to that on more than one occasion. We'll get to that. in a second, but
We all shake hands in bars now in the old neighborhood. Not so much.
no, not so much. And
Hit the
actually,
road. Tell
yeah,
your story walking.
what are you talking about? I've seen you do that relatively recently.
Well, only late at night.
But, it's funny. Great minds must think alike because the first name that comes to mind for me for all-time great heels besides Ric Flair is Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
And that especially goes for his first heel run in WWE. When he got there,
Yep.
they had never seen anything like him, I don't
No.
think.
No. Yeah, entertainment. And Roddy was out there, but he was always thinking. He put a lot of thought into his work and he thought a lot about what he wanted to do. And I'm pretty secure in saying that he argued with Vince every day. I feel pretty secure with that comment.
Yeah, but boy, what a heel, what a career.
Yeah.
I miss Roddy every day. I know.
So do we, all do.
Yeah, yeah. And some heels are so good, Nate, they become cheered. That's happened to you. Is that good or bad? And how do you avoid that?
Well, it's good because they're cheering you out of respect because you're so good. Sometimes you just exhaust them by being so good. Randy Orton when they're letting him just be Randy Orton was a pretty badass heel.
Well,
You know
where
that.
he reminds me of you, Rick, is whenever you started to get cheered, you always found a way to do something to bring him back the other way. And I think
Yeah.
Randy does that too all the time.
Yeah. But he's a tweener now. So, he's halfway caught up in the entertainment role. But when
I
the
hate Nate.
when the Viper is being the Viper, he's as good as anybody.
Nate, I hate that tweener stuff. I know you do too.
Yeah. I'm old school, but I mean, doesn't mean I don't respect the people that are in that position. I just, I'll tell you who else could be a hell of a heel with Shawn Michaels.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Shawn was great.
Now, what's most important when it comes to being a good heel? Work or promos?
Both.
Okay,
Both. You got to be able to do both.
Neither more important than the other then.
No,
Yeah.
obviously I think the work is important, but man, you got to be able to piss them off talking to them.
Oh, no question. I would have said promos, but one point about the work is I see some guys doing heel promos, but not really working as heels, and it dilutes their attempt.
Absolutely. I can name, no sense naming them, but it's a fact. You've got to stay in that character in public, wherever you go. I mean, because as much as we traveled back then, and as visible as we were, people saw us every day. And obviously, for a child or a good looking chick, it would be nice. But
Actually, I've seen you with kids where it didn't go so great either, but yeah.
I'll tell you what upsets me is when parents bring their kids out at 2:00 in the morning.
Yep.
And use them as an example. And we assign my son, it's 2 a.m. Put your children to bed. Come on.
Right.
Yeah, I have lost it a couple of times over that.
And I don't like it, and I've been with you when this happened. I just don't like it when parents bring kids into a bar. Like not a restaurant, but a bar.
I hate it.
Yeah, it's too much. Now, you've touched on this before, but working as a heel and as a babyface is completely different, or at least it should be. How much did your work change from heel to babyface?
Well, I was very limited. I didn't have the skill level to be a good babyface. That's history. That's the truth. I mean, I was a really, really good heel because it didn't require a lot of stuff. I can do a lot of stuff to guys that I just had I think most of my heat came from talking, but I could also perform at a high level. But it's not because I had 18,000 moves. I wasn't as technically gifted as a guy like Brett but I could talk. I mean, I got so much heat before I got the ring just talking to the marks.
Now, and don't take this the wrong way, Rick. Let me just give an evaluation.
Yeah, but
I thought where your work didn't lend itself to being a good babyface, you didn't have a lot of moves that blew off a comeback very well.
Exactly.
With the babyface, the comeback's everything, isn't it?
Everything.
Wow,
Everything.
I know more than I thought, I guess.
No, it's everything because, well, the comeback, you want to know what my boss, what I could never find a heel to work with me the way I worked with them.
Well, I mean, that's asking a lot.
I've been saying that for years. I could never find a heel to work with me the way I worked with him, except maybe Hunter.
Did he come the closest?
Yeah, Hunter always said me great. I told Randy, but I have to remember, I'm 40 years older than Randy, 32 years older than Randy, or 33, 20 years older than Hunter. So I wasn't in that position. It's like when Roddy and I worked, we both wanted to be the heel. We never had good matches. We had average matches, but it just,
well, that's a good point. When you came to WWE, your first feud was with Roddy.
Yeah, it stunk.
And well, it didn't stink. The promos were great.
Well, the promo was when he was a babyface,
right,
wanted to work like a heel.
And he just didn't prefer it, and you could tell.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, obviously you preferred working as a heel because your style was better equipped, but mentally you preferred being a heel, right? It's more fun.
Absolutely.
What makes it more fun?
For me, it's making the audience mad, making people believe you're really hurting somebody. Which happens sometimes anyway, but you've got to be able to be me. You got to just turn your wheel in a different direction and just ignore. You almost got to make it real, especially with the interaction of the referee and that. I mean, if you're really that mad, 180-pound referee's not going to push you around like a flyweight. You know what I mean? And I always struggle with that. I would tell the referee, fight me. I mean, I'm not going to resist you, but make it look like you're fighting me. Pull my hair to get me off of, you know what I mean? Anything. You have to make it look real.
I'll tell you what, though.
A referee's a very important part of the match.
Oh, no question. And Tommy Young and you, it was like you were dancing out there. And sometimes when you bumped for him, it was one of the biggest pops of the night.
Exactly. Yep. People didn't like that, but you're out there for an hour, man. You're out there to entertain, and I didn't want anybody to have a minute off.
Oh, I think when you guys would push each other and you'd bump for Tommy, I mean, you did that in some of your most famous matches, like the Steamboat matches, and it took the roof off.
Well, I would do it after Steamboat had to figure for me.
Right.
So it's logical that Tommy, anybody could push me. My legs are weak, if they're hurt. It was logical. A lot of people didn't see it like that, but you've had to figure four on you for a minute and a half or 2 minutes, and you pull yourself up in the rope when you turn around and push the referee out of frustration, and he pushes you to take a bump. Anybody push forward if you know how to work. You know how to work.
It's Mark Madden for Woo Nation Uncensored to talk about paintyourlife.com. When I heard about paintyourlife.com, I thought, what a great idea for a gift to birthdays, anniversaries, weddings. But I figured it must be expensive. It's not. Let me go into detail about paintyourlife.com. If you want to give a truly meaningful gift, you got to try paintyourlife.com. Get a professional hand-painted portrait created from any photo at a truly affordable price, or combine photos of people or places you love into one painting. They got a team of world-class artists. You can work with them until every detail is perfect. It's a user-friendly platform. It makes it easy to order a custom-made, hand-painted portrait in less than 5 minutes. It's fast. Get your portrait in as little as 2 weeks. Send any picture, yourself, your kids, family, a special place, someone you loved who isn't around anymore. The list goes on and on. Even an action shot of you or your children playing your favorite sport. It makes the perfect birthday, anniversary, or wedding gift. It's meaningful, it's personal, and it can be cherished forever. Nate, you know the magic of paintyourlife.com. Talk about it.
It's an absolutely fabulous concept. I've seen their work. They did a fabulous portrait of Megan and Conrad, my beautiful daughter and Conrad. And now they're painting one of me, of a picture I sent in the pink robe, which everybody thought was one of my better robes that I've owned over the years. So I'm excited. I feel honored.
I'm going to get paintyourlife.com to do a portrait of me wearing the black butterfly robe. That is what people want to see.
And we'll
At paintyourlife.com, there's no risk. If you don't love the final painting, your money is refunded. Guaranteed. And right now, as a limited time offer, get 20% off your painting. That's right, 20% off and free shipping, too. To get this special offer, text the word Flair to 64,000. That's Flair to 64,000. Text Flair to 64,000. Paint your life. Celebrate the moments that matter most. Terms apply. Available at paintyourlife.com/terms. Again, text Flair to 64,000. How does the booker know when it's time to turn somebody, and can you be turned too often? I can think of a few people that have gone back and forth too frequently.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely be turned too often. And you only get, only the real good ones can pull it off over a period of time.
How does the booker know when it's time?
Well, the booker knows when it's time, sometimes out of necessity because there's an injury on the other side, or maybe just you end up realizing they're just fighting. You're fighting the crowd, you're fighting the reaction, you're dealing with just someone. It just needs to be working the other direction or working the other way.
Is there any heel who never worked babyface? I know Steamboat never worked heel, but can you think of anybody who never worked babyface ever?
No.
Did Ole ever work babyface?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I don't remember.
Yeah, I've been told well, not really babyface, but yeah, the Andersons never worked babyface. Ole and Jane, no, they did not.
But I think Ole might have as a single at some. Oh wait, no, hold it. What am I thinking about? When the Horseman turned on Ole and kicked him out, he was kind of a babyface for a short time, wasn't he?
Yeah, I guess he was.
So nobody cared.
Yeah, he's more limited. Ole was more limited than I was. No, seriously, his shoulders were bad. He had a hard time. He had a hard time punching. I'm talking about because of physical injuries.
Now, did consistently being a heel ever take its toll mentally? Was there ever a time you tired of all the abuse and all the heat and outside the ring, especially back in the NWA days?
Never.
You loved it.
Loved it.
Why'd you love it? Go and talk about that.
Bad, 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 bad boys and make us feel so good. Did Bobby Roll ever want to be a babyface?
No, and he never was.
Yeah, but after a while he was, because of how good he was. You know what I mean?
He was always a babyface in Detroit and Chicago.
Yeah. But I'm saying on the road, but it was just some guys have got that switch, and it's the same way in it was the same way in all sports. Some guys that just are pricks, and if that makes him a heel, makes him a heel.
Yeah, but I know what you mean, but you were a great guy outside the ring, and to my experience, and Bobby Probert was a great guy off the rink.
Yes, yeah. I know, but I'm just saying it. But, at the same time, the era dictated your conduct, the way you could read it, interact with the fans. It was, I liked it when it was a fight to get back and forth to the ring. That's when you knew you had heat. When the people are trying to touch you, reach out, even if it's to try and whack you, it's a lot more exciting.
Oh, no question. One of the earliest examples I can remember that was when I was literally a kid in age, and Zbyszko turned on Bruno up here in WWF, the old territory.
Yes.
And I remember I went to the match where Zbyszko fought Bruno the first time, and literally it took him 10 minutes to get to and from the ring.
Larry.
Yeah, Larry. It was unbelievable how much they hated him. It was it was great, but it was unbelievable. And to be honest, he was a young guy then. Yeah. You could tell looking for him. I mean, he handled it well, and it was the biggest break of his career.
Yeah.
But initially it was maybe more than he bargained for,
Yeah, I didn't get to see any of it, but I know it was heated.
Now, who was an amazing heel is Bob Backlund. For a guy who never worked as a heel for years and years and years and years, and suddenly he came back, went heel. He was tremendous.
God, I don't remember that. With WWE?
Yeah, remember he came back in the suit and he beat Brett for the title when Owen threw the towel in.
I never saw any of that. I missed all that.
Yeah, he was incredible, and he was just this white bread baby face. You had a match with him. That was a world
Two.
champion versus Backlund, world champion versus world champion,
I
right?
had two of them, yeah.
How were those? What kind of a worker was he with you?
I was okay. The matches weren't very good. And the lads that they had no idea who Bob Backlund was.
And it's tough when everybody knows it's not going to be a decisive finish, right?
Exactly.
Now, I want to talk about some of the other heels profile in this series. One episode's about when Hogan turned and joined and formed really the NWO. I wasn't sure he wanted to do it, but boy, it worked out pretty good.
No, I absolutely did. Yeah.
Were you surprised he did it?
No, I think it was time for a change for him. And he'd kind of he'd run out of opponents. I mean, I could only wrestle him so many times. So, yeah, I think it worked out great for him. And I think that he really enjoyed that run. I know that Kevin and Scott, I wish they would have just kept it to the three of them, which I like Waltman too. I wish it would have just kept it to the four of them.
Right.
But, when the three of them and the four were together, they were great.
I think the most sense the NWO ever made was those four guys plus Ted DiBiase as the manager, as the owner. It really did look like the invading army then.
Yeah, exactly.
Although you mentioned last week when we talked about Scott Hall's passing, I mean, Kevin Scott, not knocking Hogan, but Kevin Scott, they got the most heat initially and maybe the most heat period.
I think so too. I agree. Holt was the frosting on top of the cake.
Let's say he stays babyface and feuds with the NWO at that point, or maybe he turns back babyface later and feuds with the NWO. How would that have worked?
Well, I don't think it would have been fair to the NWO to Scott and Kevin to be, because they wouldn't have beat Holt as a babyface. That makes sense.
That's right. That's right.
It would have been the end of a run. So it was better off to keep them heels. They were really over as heels.
Now, The Miz is featured, and he's a great heel, and it seems like that's who he really is. I've met him. I've interviewed him, and boy, his real-life persona is not far from what he is on TV.
I just totally disagree.
Really?
Mike is the nicest kid in the world.
No, you see, you're misinterpreting. When I've interviewed him, I've enjoyed it, but just his nature, his cockiness, his projection is very similar.
I guess, yeah. I don't think of him as being a mean guy. I just think of him as being a very talented guy that puts as much time and thought into his work as anybody I've ever seen.
Do you think he's a great heel?
I think he's a great talent.
So you don't think he's a hardcore heel? Well, then again, that's the difference in the eras, I suppose.
I think he's a great talent that's had an amazing career. But I just, they're just little things that he does, and these little things, he's such a nice guy that I don't think he's capable of feeling inside what it's like to really want to beat the crap out of somebody. Look at Roddy Piper and Jimmy Snuka. You see what I'm saying? And they didn't have the best match in the world, but it really looked like Piper was Jimmy Snuka. Yeah, Mike has just had a great, Miz has just had a fabulous career. And he will always be considered a great entertainer, but both ways. I mean, he has the capability of being equally good on both sides of it.
Now, they also profiled Sasha Banks. I see her as a babyface and your daughter, Charlotte, as a heel. Not that Sasha isn't a good heel, but to me, that's the dream matchup.
No, guy has been forever. Steamboat and Flair.
But is Sasha a better heel or a babyface?
Well, I like you. I like her the babyface, but she's a damn good heel too, boy. Yeah, you remember it. Sasha, could really, look at the people. They look at me and stick it up your ass, everybody. I'm that hot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm that good. And she can carry. She has that air about her that makes her just fantastic. She can. The nice thing about her, she can go either way, as can Sharp.
You know, it
But
strikes me.
Charlotte needs to be a big face.
Yeah,
Once you've been a heel, it's hard to go back. And where Charlotte has just really, really found herself now. I gotta hope they leave her alone for a while.
Yeah,
I mean,
me too. And it strikes me, Nate, that maybe we like Sasha better as a babyface because it matches up so well with Charlotte.
yeah, I mean they've had phenomenal matches, guys. You know, people forget too fast how some of the matches they've had. It's been amazing. Sasha Banks can really go.
No question. No question. Now, we talked about Randy Orton a bit before, and I think his work as a heel is incredible. His timing is just.
Look at that. There's Randy Orton. There's the Viper.
Yeah, that look, right? That look.
Best physique, 6'4", 250. That look. And when they let that character, which they haven't seen it in a while, work, that guy is the best.
Well, his heel timing is tremendous too. He knows just what to do, when to do it, when to say it. And you know, there's some stuff that's been booked for him, and I know he has great input on what he does. Like when he punted you in the head, that just took him way over the top as a heel again. Every time you think he can't go further, he does. And I think that's a big part of being a great heel.
Yeah. I know, also ended my career.
Well, no. Now, hold it. That was when you came back. Your career had already been over. You were with
And screw him and Edge and that concerto shit. You know what's a really hot heel right now? Is Edge.
No question.
No shit. Edge is on fire right now. He's not featured in this documentary, but you think of Edge as being this nice, quiet guy that could be either way, right? But his interviews have been intense, and he's hot as shit right now. I know we're talking about Evil, but he will be. He's already great. He's just getting greater.
Well, now, isn't that match kind of heel versus heel with him and AJ?
No.
I mean, I guess they've turned AJ, but I still think, I mean, it's been a short time, relatively speaking.
AJ is one of the greatest baby faces that ever worked.
I think he's a better baby face than a heel, and I think he's a great heel, too.
I just said it. He's a real good heel, but he's one of the greatest baby faces of all time.
What makes him that?
Skill. He's loaded with skill.
Yeah, he really is.
And he can, when he wants to be soft and mellow, portray himself, we can, figure out which he really is in real life, a very humble guy. He's very likable.
Well, like, hearkening back to something you said a bit ago, Nate, AJ really has that babyface arsenal with his work, doesn't he?
Oh, my God. He can do anything. Anything.
Well, and his comebacks are unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he can do anything. He reminds me of me in my heyday.
I don't know about that, but he's real good. He's real good.
I wish if I could have just drop kick anything.
Now, hold it. You never tried a drop kick? I think you did it once, right?
Oh, I know when I could run to the guy and jump and hit him, but I couldn't stand there flat-footed and drop kick anybody except in the knee.
And finally, they talk about Roman Reigns in the Evil documentary, who I thought should have been turned heel before he was, but once it happened, it hit really big.
Yeah, he's got Roman. There's three things that people hate. They hate arrogance. They hate guys that are so damn good looking that they can be as arrogant as they want. And then when you have a skill that Roman does, you're really going to piss people off.
And obviously,
he pisses the guys off in the locker room.
Does he really? How so?
No, I mean, I'd be facetious, but, where guys like Roman Reigns come around once, God, I can't think of the last time we had a guy as good looking as Roman. Me.
Right.
Yeah, he's as handsome as I was 35 years ago.
Now, you see, I think that's a legitimate comparison. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, and too, though, he doesn't have a lot of big arsenals of babyface either. So he's better as a heel. I love him as a heel. The longer they let him rumble like that, I mean, he's gold.
Well, I thought it was good they've put Heyman with them. I'm not sure he needs Heyman anymore, but I think Heyman was a great ignition for him being a heel, and obviously still an important part of the act.
Absolutely. I think Paul does a great job with him. Yeah, Heyman's that over heel. You know,
Oh, no.
Heyman's like, Heyman's got the kind of heat Bobby Heenan would get, but he doesn't wrestle.
Yeah, and he barely bumps, but boy, he's something. I think he's great.
Yeah, he is great.
What? You think Heenan's number one?
You hear that, Paul? You owe me, buddy. Tired of telling how good you are. Interview wise, Paul, you're still number 2.
Behind Bobby.
No.
Oh, right. I thought you meant. Well, you know what? Being number 2 for promos behind Ric Flair ain't a bad place to be.
Well, that's just my opinion.
No, that's fact. That's not opinion. But is Bobby still the number? Is Bobby still the number 1 manager for Heat?
Oh God, Bobby Heenan, yes. Yeah, only because he could work. Cornette was really good too, but Jim didn't work. But Cornette could give up and he too. Yeah, but Bobby Heenan, because he could incorporate his work, which was fantastic. Bobby Heenan was a great worker. People forget about that.
Now, I want to talk about The Rock real quick, because when The Rock started out, he was a babyface, but he was a hated babyface. You remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean, it was weird that a guy who started out with the fans totally rejecting him became arguably the biggest star ever.
No, I don't think it's even arguable. I mean, basically the biggest star and cross-demographic appeal in the world and everything.
Was it? I mean, it turned out to not be tough for him to recover from that, but that was a rocky beginning, no pun intended.
Yeah, I didn't know him that well back then. I mean, I knew him from, working with his dad. I actually met him when he was like 12 years old. I've got that picture right here. No, but he liked, I could tell he liked the bling and all that too. So he was a little bit conflicted on which way to go. But he found his groove, and when he did, God, unbelievable.
Rick, this Evil series, I'm really looking forward to it. The clips I've seen, the stuff
too.
about you, it looks like a very, WWE's always done good series like this, but this seems like it might be even a step above.
Yeah, to me, I've always seen a little bit of it, but I'm dying to see it. That's when this is an opportunity, again, for me. And I'm thankful for the WWE for that moment, for the opportunity for me to show the world who I was.
Do you think
every man, every wrestler wants that opportunity. So I'm very lucky. The 30 for 30 did it, but I anticipate this to be just as good.
Do you think when everybody's seen every episode of Evil that Ric Flair will be the most evil of them all?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident of that.
I am too, believe me. Now, a couple things happening.
But only because I had a lot more practice. Does that make sense?
I think I don't know that had much to do with it. I think I think everybody at their most evil isn't as evil as Ric Flair.
No, I've got 4 wives that agree with you. Where are you? I don't know. Be a Ric Flair.
Well, that's a full-time job. Now,
you've been in the wrong league, you should know.
Oh, I know. Oh, believe me, I've eavesdropped on a few of those calls. In fact, I seem to recall you put me on the phone briefly with wife number 2 in the middle of one of those.
Yeah, I sure did. Where is he?
I don't know. He was right here a minute ago. Now, a big event in the NCAA with wrestling. Gable Steveson won Olympic gold prior, and he just won his second NCAA national championship. He then retired from that type of wrestling, and he's already signed by WWE. How would you start him out? Because clearly he's going to show up pretty soon.
Well, I don't think he's had much opportunity I know he's been in the to the
Performance Center.
Performance Center. But I wouldn't think with the way he's had to condition and prepare for not only the Olympics, but the NCAAs and all that. Plus another year of collegiate wrestling. I think that he I don't know what I would do. I wouldn't let him do anything until he was really good. I wouldn't give him, I myself, if I was in charge of this, I would spend a year building it, because you just can't learn overnight. The only guy I've ever seen, we talk about all the time, the learner overnight is Kurt Angle.
Yep.
But and I'm not saying that Gable can't, that he doesn't have that ability. I don't know. But Kurt is a different kind of cat. So I was a different kind of cat in amateur wrestling. So they both have achieved the same thing, 2 NCAA titles and a gold medal. And so, there'll always be that comparison. That's why I would be careful with Gable and make sure that he was in a place that he wanted to be in.
I agree with that.
I
but
mean, that he is comfortable with when they're very comfortable in the ring before he debuts.
Now, when you say you'd take a year, would you have him on TV during that year? Work with him off TV for that year? You wouldn't show him until a year from now.
I'd have him make appearances on TV.
Okay, but not doing much.
I would keep his face there a lot, yeah.
What about the idea where he could do squash matches occasionally? I mean, where he wouldn't have to do much, but you get him out there.
Yeah, well, if he was good at it, I mean, I'd have to, before I even could answer this and give you an opinion, I have to see what he's capable of.
Yeah, I know we're assuming a lot, but I think it's easy to assume a lot. He's got the size, he's got the look,
yeah.
He has the amateur background. How big could he be, Nate? What's your prediction?
Well, he could be huge, but remember, we haven't heard him talk yet.
Right? No, there's a lot of factors. You're right.
Yeah, I don't want to label him something and be unfair to him, because when you are as successful as he is, he's going to be measured against Kurt Angle.
Yeah, the comparison is unavoidable.
It just is.
And one thing about Kurt I want to mention too, before Kurt came to wrestling and embraced it and did so well at it, a lot of the successful amateur wrestlers treated pro wrestling like it smelled bad. I think Kurt not only came in and did great, but I think he changed the attitude of the guys who came after him as blue chip amateur wrestlers.
I could agree with that. Yep.
Because remember how it used to be? Heck, what was that one guy's name that gave you a hard time at the Dapper Dan dinner? The guy who won the gold medal. Remember him? Jeff Blatnick.
Yeah.
And then I cut a promo on him and he got mad at me instead.
Yeah. Well, he just, what can you do? You're in a professional setting. Who's Jeff Blatnick now?
Well, exactly right. Now,
I mean, I don't take anything away from him, but who is he?
Right, no question. Well, and that's the difference between the two genres. I mean, I respect the hell out of the amateur wrestlers.
Yeah.
And but I mean, once they're done with college and the Olympics, they're done. There's nowhere to go unless they go the path of Kurt Angle.
Exactly.
There's a kid from Pittsburgh named Spencer Lee, Rick, at Iowa, who's won, I think 3 or 4 national titles in the smaller weight classes. And I don't know if he would ever pursue professional wrestling, but then again, the lighter guys, that's kind of an uphill battle, but boy, is he good and charismatic. He's just unbelievable.
Oh, I've heard the name. I've not seen him wrestle. I usually watch that tournament. I watched maybe 2 or 3 hours of this weekend when it was hard up against the NCAA basketball tournament.
Well, he's really good, and I hope he finds a way to use his talent moving forward. And by the way, how about Penn State won their 9th NCAA National Wrestling Team Championship in 11 years? That's incredible.
Gable Steveson, right?
Yeah, just unbelievable.
They transferred the flag from Iowa and Iowa State to Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Now, there's a report that Cody Rhodes has signed a contract with WWE, which I think was inevitable. How would you debut him? Should he show up at WrestleMania or would you wait?
I'd have him show up at WrestleMania.
What would you have him do? Just show up or get involved, or?
I'd try to think out loud for Vince McMahon is impossible, but Cody's a really good talker. And I'd have him, I'd have to go out there, just say what he thinks from there. and
So,
it would, and he'd be very well received.
oh, no question.
His dad, and his now, the fact that he's really, pulled his dad legacy, it made the full circle back and back with WWE, and his dad being such a big star so many years. I think he walked out the door in Texas where his dad's from Austin, and just as dressed up, which he's into the clothes, which I like. I'm a big fan of that. Just stands there and said, "Yeah, I had to learn he did something really. I'd make him the hottest goddamn heel in the country."
You bring him in as a heel?
Yes.
Now,
Yep.
I've often,
Actually, what I would do, I would listen to what the crowd said when he walked out of me. That would be my opinion. I would say, Vince, I would say, walk out there, let her breathe for a minute and say what you think. That'll never be the case, but that's what I would let the crowd tell you what they think.
well, I have no idea if Cody should be.
Which is the way the business should be. I mean, to me,
Yes.
listen to the crowd. I used to tell guys all the time, I cannot tell you what I'm going to do out there until I hear the crowd. What do I want to start? I'll tell you when I get in the ring. I've had that argument 100 times. Let me hear what the crowd's doing. Then I'll tell you what we're going to do.
Well, I don't know if Cody should be babyface or heel. I kind of like the way you would approach it, but I think he's got to be pushed big because A, he's great, and B, a lot of people in AEW are going to be watching. And if Cody, gets pushed, and if he gets treated good, people who might want to come from AEW to WWE might take that into consideration.
Oh, I'm very confident the fact he's going to be pushed real hard, and I don't see that even being an issue. But once again, I think the determining factor of what they want to do with him would be to walk out in a state where his dad was born and raised, 60 miles from where, 80 miles from where, Dusty was, lived. And I would just let the crowd tell me what's going on.
I've always wondered what the most value is when a wrestling promotion gets a new guy. Is it surprise value, which gets people talking, or do you build anticipation, which should make more people watch?
If they know he's coming, I would, first of all, Cody doesn't need vignettes, you know what I mean?
Right. They know who he is.
They know who he is. And, but I have to think, in my mind, I don't think Cody left in a bad way. So it wasn't like he was getting beat by everybody before he left. If he was, I don't remember, and I watch all the time. So I think he just decided he wanted to try something else, and he was successful at it. And, Vince rewards success. He never said anything bad about the WWE. I don't remember that I know. They may have had some trademark argument issues, but that's life. You know what I mean? But I think Cody will perform at a high level. He's young. He looks great. And I just think, once again, I would let the crowd dictate what he's going to be and how he's going to do it. Because this is a kid that's got a whole new roster of people to wrestle.
Yeah, I think it's going to be terrific. And Nate, what about that neck tattoo he has? I think you should have got a neck tattoo back in the day.
Maybe I will tomorrow.
I think it'd be awesome.
What does it say?
Maybe Tom Brady, number 12.
TB12.
TB12. Although, like we've always said, Nate, you don't put a bumper sticker on a Bentley.
Wow, I know.
Now, we got some tweets from fans we want to go over. That's always very enjoyable. So let's start with one from Kevin, who says, what are Ric's thoughts on Magnum TA? I thought that feud was going to be epic before his accident happened.
Oh, he's a great kid. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen in the business. I was in Birmingham, Alabama. I can remember it was yesterday when I got off the plane, and in Charlotte, you would have thought that Elvis Presley was in the hospital. I mean, it was that big. Wrestling was so big in Charlotte in the 80s. And I remember they just was just terrible. I went to see him when he was having been on life support, the type that I was on, and Scott with the put the tube down your throat and that. he was in one of those, in the old iron tank. Do you remember those?
Oh, the Iron Lung.
The iron lung, yeah. He was in one of those, and he was completely paralyzed for 30 days for any movement at all. And the only way he could communicate and get a nurse to come over with the hitting a tongue depressor of this. Oh, it killed the seal like that.
Could Magnum work a long match? He worked a lot of squashes, and if he had that program with you, a little more would have been required. How would that part have gone?
Oh, he could work. Magnum could work. I think Magnum might have been being considered. I know it does feel as a potential world champion.
Oh, I think that if he would have not got hurt, he would have got the world title at some point, don't you?
Yeah. He would have had to travel a little bit more and go out and not go through what I did by just having wrestled guys in the Carolinas, which he could really make you look better than you thought you were, as my experience personally. The way that they would have had to send them out and work, all the other territories for 6 months before it would have been successful for him. Where he would have got the same thing. He would have got the title, and he would have taken off and wrestling guys that not as good as the kid. I mean, as good as the kids in the Carolinas, which was loaded. I mean, from Dusty to Ricky Moore. I mean, the name of Bobby Orton, Slater, Jesus, the Road Warriors. I mean, we were staying. It would have been a very competitive situation for him.
Well, he did a lot of really memorable stuff. I remember his best of 7 with Nikita Koloff was big. The stuff with Tully was unbelievable. The I Quit.
Yes.
I watched that I Quit once or twice a year. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was great. Real good. Yeah. No, he was there, but once again, Tully, world-class wrestling. I mean, it just, I'm just saying, I think for him to have been really successful, if he were to become the world champion, they would have had him travel a little bit. That's what I would have suggested.
Here's a tweet from Tommy. Who was the champ's favorite announcer to interview with, and would you rank the top 3? I think I know, Nate, but go ahead.
Favorite to interview with? Gene Okerlund. Absolutely.
What made him good?
Mean Gene. He always had the right question. He always had the right look. He always, had put his 2 cents in, which made it great. The big difference between an in-ring announcer and you talking to somebody than a guy calling the matches. Does that make sense?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, by the way, kind of hell of an interview Monday night or Friday night. Our buddy McAfee.
Oh yeah, well, Pat's when it comes to the microphone, Pat's 100% foolproof.
It was fabulous. He walked down the ramp and he tore him up again, man. I love it. I'm really excited about this WrestleMania.
Oh, I am too, and we got some stuff to talk about that a little bit later. I'm banned from McAfee's show.
Why?
I don't know. I'm like shadow banned. We're still friends, but like I kind of offend the brotherhood, with NFL players, so I'm not on very much anymore. I was Pat's first guest ever on his show.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're banned down.
Shadow banned. There's no formal ban. And Pat and I are still really good friends. I did a charity hockey tournament here not too long ago. He contributed $5,000. He's a great guy, but his show's so NFL friendly, and I am not really. So there you go. No hard feelings.
Yeah.
And he'll probably hear this and have me on. So there you go. But I think his stuff in WWE.
You better have me on that if he wants to get a number.
Oh, no question. I think that his stuff in wrestling is just unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable.
I couldn't agree with you more.
You know what I always say when he's
he might be full-time next year.
Oh, no question. You know what I always say when Pat's on my show, Rick?
What?
I always say, let's welcome a man who took my broadcasting and wrestling careers and he clips both inside of 6 weeks.
That's great.
Now, okay, here's one from Keith. Who or what ever made Ole Anderson laugh? That's a good question. Did you ever see Ole Anderson laugh?
Yeah, when I first met him, and we traveled together. He'd laugh once in a while, but he just, I don't know. I don't know what, how to explain what happened to Ole. I don't know. Very interesting guy. I mean, I remember when he got that lawsuit in Cleveland over that fan. he literally just went underground for a while because I can't remember the circumstances, but he just what his guy just completely did his own thing.
Well, then he got an illness. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was it MS or muscular dystrophy? I forget which one it was.
MS.
Yeah, and that certainly took its toll. And
Mm-hmm.
sad story. Very sad story.
Yes.
Ole was just a different cat.
Yep. Yep.
Here's one from Joe. Are you guys fans of MMA? I'm not, except for bouts that involve the very big names like Brock or McGregor. How about you, Nate?
I enjoy it. I do. Of course, I was much more interested in it when Brock was there or Ronda.
Ronda too, right? Exactly.
I used to like Liddell, Tito Ortiz. I just not as familiar with the guys anymore, like I used to be. I don't watch it. But I mean, to me, Ronda was just tremendous, and Brock was tremendous, and because I guess I was more familiar with them, and I thought Ronda could very possibly, I think, be the biggest star in the history of the business.
Oh, I think she probably was.
And she probably could go back right now and get a huge payday.
I think why she started losing was because she got tired of it. It was too easy for her for so long because she was so much above everybody else. And then some girls came along that kind of caught up and maybe took advantage. I don't want to say complacency because that sounds bad, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's kind of like just one bad day.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, she came back, and I think that she was so successful that she decided. I think that the WWE was already trying to work with her to come over. So you never know what the mindset is there. But I certainly respected her. I really looked forward to every time she competed. Just like I'm looking forward to seeing her against Charlotte in Dallas.
Well, I will say, Nate, I was in Vegas last year to see McGregor versus Poirier.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like the UFC atmosphere live. It really is like the Roman Coliseum.
Yeah. I've only been to a couple. One of my favorite, of course, was the key suspension against Diaz. Gotta love that fight. Was it the second fight? I think I watched it at Jay-Z's place in New York. Nate Diaz and the kid from Ireland.
Oh, McGregor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that fight number 2 that he won?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. What a fight that was, huh?
And McGregor's money. I mean, he's just
Yeah.
he's a pro wrestler doing MMA and he's good at it.
Yeah. You think he'll come back?
I think he's going to try. I'm surprised he hasn't ended up in WWE.
I think the size is a big issue.
You're probably right, but what about a short-term thing?
I don't know. I mean, anything's possible. He doesn't need the money, certainly.
No, he's got that whiskey thing going that's like a $1 billion type of deal.
Yeah.
And that's without you drinking any of it. Imagine if he had brought it out back in the 80s.
I know, and I don't even like that kind of liquor. Or if I was drinking it now.
Here's one from Andrew. Nature Boy, I was a 1980s Greensboro Coliseum kid. Never missed a show. Even waited out back to watch you guys leave. What's your greatest Greensboro memory?
Oh, boy. Oh, it'd have to be, if I said anything less than Stargate 83, I'd be lying. But I have 1,000 Greensboro memories. I love that town.
Well, Greensboro was your home turf, wasn't it? That was like
Greensboro was our Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, and that was like your home field. I mean, that was where
Everything.
Like even when you were the most hardcore heel, they loved you.
Yep, it was the best.
You know what I remember about Greensboro? That was where guys, when the Horsemen came together, that was where guys in the front row first started wearing suits.
Every guy, I know that it went everywhere. Yeah, it was a very, very special time in life for all of us. We've gone up there before. I can remember Aaron and I and Tony driving, and the traffic was backed up 4 miles on Holden Road.
You get sentimental when you talk about Greensboro. I'm noticing that.
Not sentimental. I just wish WCW killed it down. I was there one time, and of the 36 guys advertised on the card, 16 didn't show up.
Wow. Well, you know what else killed Greensboro, too?
Just didn't want to come to work.
They never should have moved Starrcade out of Greensboro.
Absolutely.
They moved it to Chicago. They got that bright idea. Starrcade should have been in Greensboro every single year.
Thank you.
Now, here's one.
Like I said, if we had stayed east of Chicago,
Yep.
we'd still be in business.
Now, here's a great tweet from Toothpaste. He says, what's the highest bar tab he's seen and who paid it? I can't wait to hear this answer.
Highest bar tab I've ever seen?
Yeah, and who paid it?
Recently?
No, anytime, all time.
I better talk to my accountant. I'll answer that next week.
Yeah, because I didn't see the bar tab at your 70th birthday party, but that has to be a contender.
Oh, absolutely, God. Well, the bar tab by 73rd was pretty good too.
Here's one from Jeff. Rick did many Broadways with Steamboat, and HBK and Bret had the famous Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12. In all of their primes, out of HBK and Bret, who does Rick think you'd have had the better hour match with? Also, how great would either HBK or Bret have been with Steamboat in their primes? I like those questions, Rick. What do you say?
Let me see again.
Well, who would you have had a better hour match with in both your primes, either HBK or Bret?
Well, I wrestled Bret now before.
Oh, really? Where?
In Boston.
Okay.
But I wasn't, what am I, 10 years older than Bret? 15?
Yeah.
How old's Bret? 60, 59?
I want to say Bret's 61, I think. I think he's the same age as me.
Okay, so I'm 12 years older, so I wasn't in my prime. Let me think. Well, they both would have had phenomenal matchup with Steamboat. Let's just start with that. They both would have been great. But I think, because I just think Shawn was so damn good, man. I mean, Shawn is the best in-ring performer I've ever seen, except for Ray Stevens, and people don't know who Ray is. So, in the ring, babyface, heel, it's Shawn Michaels.
I think so, too. By the way, Steve Kaufman, our crack producer who makes the show tick, he just texted to me that Bret is 64.
Yeah, so he's 10 years younger than me. Yeah, the way to the match, but I surely wasn't. You know, you want to see her at your peak. I had my last match with Shawn, I was 59. But I was just lucky at that point. I remained to this day fairly injury free. So I'll take every day, a good day in that respect. But I think the both Bret and I'm surprised Bret never wrestled Steamboat because they were up there together. But Bret and Steamboat and Shawn and Steamboat would have been phenomenal. Only one Ricky Steamboat.
Bret's got to be happy the Calgary Flames are doing so good. They're a legit contender.
Yeah, you told me that. Wow. Yeah, it must be. I'll see him at WrestleCon.
Now, here's one for Three Rivers Gastro. What recommendations do you have for weight training for a man in his 60s? Asking for a friend.
Lightweight, more reps, and most of all, a lot of cardio.
You still do a lot of cardio, right?
Yep. A lot of core training.
What's your cardio routine like, Nate, on a typical day?
Now I do, I train with Rob Johnson, this guy up in Lakeland. And I'm one of these guys, I like to do as high possible intensity for a short period of time. So I'm doing, right now I'll do the aerodyne bike. You know what that is?
Yes.
I can do 5,300 meters in 10 minutes. And then on the rowing machine, I can do 2,000, I don't think it's called meters or that, in 10 minutes. But I'll just show you something that people don't believe this, and my heart doctor would go crazy, but, no, this is an example of where I push myself. So I'm 70, and medical people will tell you you're not supposed to take your heart rate any more than 50, right?
Right?
So so it would be 70 plus 50 be 38, right? So this was the other day.
I can't see it. What's it say?
204.
Wow. Nate, you're a freak of nature. I think what I got 3 words to say. I got 3 words to say, Nate. Up a little bit. Make it up. Wow. Nate, I got 3 words to say. One more match.
My heart doctor would go, "Are you out of your mind?" The other day, I had it up to 193.
How do you feel at the end of it?
I feel great, but I know that I'm pushing the gamut, but it's pretty hard unless I'm competing with someone to work out that hard.
Now, here's one. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, here's one from Alex. Was Scott Hall the best wrestler to never be world champion? These days, that question means something different, doesn't it? Because there's so many world titles and they get moved around all the time. Back then, they didn't. Like Ray Stevens was never world champ.
No. The answer to that question is no. There's other people that weren't in that opportunity.
Well, Ray Stevens being one of them.
Exactly. Yep.
Now, Nate, we still got the build-up going for WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar ripped the door off a truck. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Now, I like it. Larger than life. It's big guys doing big things.
Yeah.
WrestleMania is going to be literally bigger than ever.
Yeah, SmackDown was awesome Friday night.
Yeah, it was a great program.
Ashley with Ron had a great segment. I mean, it was Roman and Brock. I mean, it's on fire. The whole show is good.
You see, I am so psyched about both main events. We've talked about Ronda and Charlotte at length, but Brock and Roman. Like I said, I want WrestleMania to be big, literally big, and it's big guys doing big guy business. I can't say that enough.
Yep, I know. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be absolutely fantastic.
Nate, I need some predictions for WrestleMania, not match results, but other stuff. Besides Charlotte versus Ronda, which match is going to be the best at WrestleMania?
I feel like Charlotte Ronda will be the best match, but I mean, the one I'm psyched up for the most, I'm sure you guys are too, is Brock and Roman.
Yeah, I think for 2 big guys, they'll lay it out good. I think it'll be great. Both those guys can really work for big guys, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it'll be fantastic.
And they're compatible with each other. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be so good. The one I'm looking forward to beyond the 2 main events is Edge and AJ Styles.
Oh, yeah, me too. Yeah, very much.
I think that could be as good as anything on the program.
Yeah. And I think that the KO show and Steve Austin will be great too.
Yep, that'll be great too. Let me ask you this. Do you think AJ's ever really gotten the credit he deserves?
AJ Styles?
Yeah.
He has from me.
I know he has from you and he has from me and from a lot of people, but I feel like see, I hate to rip people and this shouldn't come off as ripping people, but like we talk about Bryan Danielson being the best worker out there. I think AJ Styles is in his league.
Bryan Danielson is no AJ Styles.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Not even close.
You see, but that's what I mean about him not getting credit.
But I've never heard that from anybody except
God, it's all over the place.
Enough, please.
I'm telling you, hey.
Bryan Danielson very good when he's no AJ Styles. Come on.
Well, that's what I mean about AJ not getting credit.
Well, that's just one comment from who?
I think we both know who.
Who?
Well, Meltzer. Meltzer named his award after him. The Bryan Danielson Wrestler of the Year.
Oh, he didn't name the award after me. The award named after me.
No. The Wrestler of the Year is the Lou Thez Ric Flair Award.
Yeah.
The Best Worker Award is the Bryan Danielson Award.
Wow. Well, Ric Flair, who is doesn't agree with that.
Well, your award's the bigger award, if indeed any of those
are big at all. I think AJ Styles is. I mean, Bryan Danielson is very good, but he's not AJ Styles.
Yeah, Nate, I agree. And I don't think either of us means to denigrate Bryan Danielson either.
No, it does. It does not. But it's a big stretch to say it's better than AJ Styles.
I agree. Well, that's the question. I don't think he gets quite the credit he should. Does AJ? Now, will Vince McMahon get involved physically with Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory? What's your prediction there?
I hope so.
Me too. Me too.
I hope he comes out. That's who he is. That will be very exciting too if Vince comes out and the music strutting down the ramp, man. I mean, it's golden.
Well, I'll tell you who this has been great for. This whole buildup is Austin Theory. It's gotten his name out there in a big way.
Exactly.
And I think he's lived up to his part of the bargain just like Pat has.
Yeah. I can see Austin somehow getting Pat down and then Vince coming out, beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, of course, he makes the big comeback and beats Theory, but he doesn't get the Vince. Vince just puts the boots to him, beats the crap out of him, and stands back. He makes the comeback on Theory, and they keep it going. That's what I would do.
From your lips to God's ears, I would love to see that.
Yeah, I would love to see Vince and Pat go toe-to-toe head up in an interview. I can hear that now.
Now,
this is my show. Here at the putter from Minneapolis.
It would be awesome.
I'm a billionaire. What are you?
I think Pat's coming close, but yeah. Now, we're less than 2 weeks out and only 10 matches are set for the 2 nights of WrestleMania. Does that surprise you? I guess those are the matches that matter most.
So what now?
There's only 10 matches set so far for WrestleMania, according to what I've read, for both nights. Does that surprise you? There aren't more set by now? 5
for each night, right?
Right.
I love that.
Well, there's going to be more matches than that, I think, though.
I don't know. I mean, I love it like that because they have time.
I agree. And you know what? You're hitting the nail on the head just thinking out loud because that way the crowd has a chance to breathe.
Yeah, that's a chance to breathe.
The crowd doesn't get tired.
And the matches give it time. Come on. The show started. I mean, I think that vibe is great.
I agree. I think you're onto something. Now, how long do you think Brock and Roman...
Because you have to factor in all the entrances and all the, the word's not pageantry, but all the, it's such a ceremonious event that for the packages that play. I mean, it's, sometimes you wonder if the match can live up to the packages. Kevin does know these packages that are just unbelievable.
And sometimes the match doesn't live up to the packaging.
Very rarely, but I mean, it's just so the anticipation, my guy. I mean, that's I love all that.
Now, how long are Brock and Roman going to go? What should they do? They don't usually work short matches per se, but I think they can go long if it's requested of them.
They both can. They're both in excellent condition.
Well, what would you do, though? How would you book it?
Well, like I said last week, I'd make sure they have at least 30 minutes.
I think they could do a real good 30-minute match. I think there would be a lot of, bells and whistles. I think Heyman gets involved. I think stuff like that, the Usos, but I think 30 minutes sounds about right.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, I just think both main events should have at least 30 minutes. 30 minutes of wrestling, not included, we talked about this last week, not including the injuries.
My God, I'd give Ronda and Charlotte 45.
Yeah, why not?
I think it'd be great. Nate, what's the preparation process like for a big match, like a main event at WrestleMania or when you wrestled Starrcade? Who has input? How much is laid out? How much is even rehearsed?
Oh gosh, they're going to be they go in probably on they go in right after Raw, and they probably are there. I would say 5 days of preparation.
And how much is rehearsed in the ring?
A lot, but it's not so much the match. But I mean, everything's rehearsed, but it's one of those things that has to be flawless, and that is from the camera work to the announce table and the performers. I mean, it's the biggest deal. And to me, I enjoy it more than I do. I love the Super Bowl. I know it's great, but because I'm a wrestler, I love WrestleMania. It's huge.
Now, who who has the most input on a big match? Is it Vince? Is it the participants? Is it an agent? Is it Hunter? Well, I guess not anymore, but who has the most input, like, say, on a main event at Mania?
I would say Vince.
And he's very hands-on?
I'm sure. I think he takes other people's thought that he thinks are smart into consideration, but ultimately he makes the decision. That's been my experience.
Now, every match has an agent, a producer. When did that start? Because it used to be just up to the guys, wasn't it?
They've had agents and producers since 2000.
But before that, it was the guys, right?
No, and no, it was just like Pat and Patterson. They had just a few guys, but now, no, it's produced, and there's a writer and a producer everywhere with it. So it's very well put together.
Who was the most hot?
Huh?
Who was the most highly regarded agent or producer, to your experience?
In the history of my experience there,
Yeah.
I think Johnny Ace is really good. I think, boy, over the years I've seen they've had some greats. I mean, trying to think right now. Michael Hayes is really good. And Michael will have his hands involved in 3 or 4 matches directly, but people will come to Michael for ideas and suggestions. Same thing with Hayes. And that's where it's good for everybody to be able to get along on the same page. I'm not familiar with all the producers now that change some in and out, but it's very well thought out. They have so many meetings during the day to make sure they're on the same page. And that goes for Raw and SmackDown too.
Now, Nate, before we wrap this up, I got to talk some NFL because we got problems here in Pittsburgh. Deshaun Watson went to the Cleveland Browns. Are they a contender now?
Hell yes. Hell yes. Good for him. $230 million.
Guaranteed. Every cent guaranteed.
Yep.
Biggest guarantee in NFL history. I think he's going to get suspended for a bit because of what happened in Houston. But boy, I think it's tough to imagine him not having major impact the minute he steps on the field.
Couldn't agree more. He's fabulous. Is just 24 or 20 or 20, 25 years old?
Right. Now we know Brady's the best guy, and I'm sure you'd rank Aaron Rodgers second. Who's the next best 3 quarterbacks in football after Brady and Rodgers?
The kid from L.A., the kid
Matt
from
Stafford.
Buffalo, the kid from Buffalo, and the kid from San Diego.
Josh Allen and L.A. Chargers. What's his name? Justin Herbert.
Yep.
I love Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
What about Mahomes? Where's he fit in?
Oh, he's in there too. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to leave him out. I would go in terms of now I thought about this. I would go with the top 3 and at any given day are Brady, Rodgers, and Mahomes. And then the Josh Allen, Herbert, and Deshaun Watson, where they're right there. I mean, you have to be very good, period, to be a starting quarterback. But those 5 guys, I mean, they're really good players and getting better.
It's kind of a golden age for quarterbacks, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody smarter than Tom Brady, and his arm velocity is as good as it's ever been. So until somebody proves that we're wrong, and of course Rodgers has got an arm like a cannon. He's just amazing. He just a flick of the wrist, man. I hate that he lost in the receiver to the Raiders.
Yeah, Devontae Adams.
Yeah, I hate that, but I still think he got a hell of a deal. He deserved it. I think Aaron played real well.
You brought up a good point a couple weeks back about how much arm velocity means. And a lot of people
everything.
think you could make up for that, but that's why Ben's not playing. That's why Drew Brees stopped playing. That's what killed Peyton Manning at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can keep that, you can fake everything else.
Yeah, exactly. And if they're smart. Tom Brady's a thinking machine. He doesn't get enough credit for being. He doesn't miss it. He very rarely would miss a read, I would assume. And we know what that means for the fans that don't. That means he knows where every receiver is.
Yep. What happens to Baker Mayfield? I think Deshaun Watson's a better quarterback, but I think Baker kind of got hard done by in Cleveland.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked Baker, but I've only met him one time. He's a real nice guy. If I was Cleveland, if I was Pittsburgh, I'd grab Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, but the thing is, his contract's up at the end of the year, and he's going to want huge money. I don't know if he gets it now.
I don't know either.
See, Nate,
I think he's in a position now where he's probably not able to ask for huge money. But if he wants to play, he'll take money and then prove on a 1-year deal and then ask for huge money next year.
Well, Nate, here's the problem. The Browns got Watson. Cincinnati got Joe Burrow. Baltimore has Lamar Jackson.
And by the way, Burrow, they just reloaded the offensive line in Cincinnati.
Three great offensive linemen.
Three.
Yeah. And that's all they were lacking. That's all they were lacking.
And they got that tight end lined up, so they're going to be a handful.
Well, who's going to be better, Cleveland or Cincinnati?
It's going to be very close with that offensive line and with those additions.
What about the Steelers? Can they compete with Mitch Trubisky at quarterback?
No.
Well, that's certainly to the point and probably very accurate.
Not with those two teams.
I know. Probably not Baltimore. Baltimore's got Lamar Jackson.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I'm not leaving Lamar out. I'm just going on what I saw last year.
No question.
Yeah.
And finally, Nate's last thing, how bad are the LA Lakers? What happened there? And the funny part is, LeBron's playing great. He's putting up huge numbers, and it's not enough.
Well, one player can't do it, but all I can tell you is that he passed Karl Malone's record. He's broken every record there is to break. He's got maybe he'll break Jabbar's before he's done. He had 38 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists last night. The Lakers need to regroup, but it's not LeBron. LeBron's great.
Nate, I'll tell you one record LeBron will never break. Never.
What's that?
16 world titles.
Well, it should be 17. Let's get serious.
It should be like 23.
I know.
We got to set that. You know what, Nate? One week on this show, we're going to go over all the title changes that supposedly don't count, because I want to count them.
Exactly.
I want to count them.
Let's do that.
Nate, this was great as always. God bless. And I got to say, you look terrific. It's great to hear about your training regimen. You look, seriously, you look healthier every week.
I am. I'm drinking less.
Are you really?
Just a Mick Ultra red wine.
That Mick Ultra. I mean, I'm a Coors Light guy, but Mick Ultra is a good stand-in.
Not bad, man.
Not bad. I look like I could drop any second, too.
Bye.
Nate, thank you again. Give him one more.
Thank you, sir. Nish.